The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? It don't want none unless you got buns, hun. Yep, that means Amber and Scott saw Anaconda. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
That film was so meta that it owns most of Facebook. That's how meta it was.
It was indeed. Alrighty, folks, welcome to Cinema IRL. Today we are talking about Anaconda. Two best friends facing midlife crises head to the Amazon to film a DIY remake of Anaconda. The project turns into a real-life horror show when a snake begins hunting the crew for real life.
Yeah. This was a funny movie. I actually snorted at least once.
Yeah, you were chuckling over there.
Yeah, it was funny. So that's the thing. You can't say anything bad about it. I mean, it's not an Oscar contender. It's a fun film. So I actually enjoyed it. Now, if this is the only type of movie I saw, I probably would get old of it. But considering that we've basically been seeing Oscar contender after Oscar contender after Oscar contender, we could slip a little Jack Black in there.
Sure. So we have our main characters who, when they were kids, they were wannabe filmmakers. And they grew up, and one of them went off to pursue his dreams in Hollywood, and the other one stayed back home and seems like he worked for the family business of doing wedding videos.
Buffalo.
And they have this opportunity to basically get the band back together and to film an updated version of the film Anaconda from, how old is that film?
It's not recent.
Yeah, it was Jennifer Lopez and Ice Cube and Eric Stoltz. So they just kind of on a whim head to the Amazon.
Yeah. It's like, oh, hey, let's go make a movie. So, I mean, obviously you can get a lot of things, but the one thing that you say, I say you needed, but do you these days?
What are you talking about?
An anaconda.
What are you talking about?
You need an anaconda to film the movie Anaconda.
That's helpful, yeah.
Yes. So that became kind of their problem when turns out that Griff is a little scared of it, which I can understand. It's a big snake. It's a big snake. But he kind of tosses it over the side, and then snake sushi.
Yeah, they hire a snake wrangler for the filming, actually using a real snake, and Griff does get frightened, throws it over the boat, and it gets chopped up by the rudder. That was kind of gruesome. So they are out in the middle of the Amazon filming this film under the pretense that Griff has purchased the rights to be able to do this Anaconda film. So that is what inspired everyone to actually drop what they were doing and head to the middle of the jungle. And they're filming, and once the snake gets chopped up, then they have a problem. You're right. You need Anaconda for the film Anaconda.
I mean, in fairness,
and at that point, chaos ensues. In
fairness, we do live in an age of lots of special effects and AI, so you probably don't need an Anaconda, but you should really have one.
Yeah, I mean, they're filmmakers. They want the real deal. And when the snake wrangler goes out to find another snake, he gets eaten up.
So, what the hell?
Yeah, that's a good what would you do?
Can we start with that? What would you do if you were missing your snake? It's the middle of the freaking...
Well, you're not missing your snake.
Well,
your snake has gone to snake heaven.
Yes.
Chopped up in little pieces.
It's the middle of the night, and you need another snake. Do you start traversing the swampy parts of the Amazon?
Well, keep in mind that they were mixing alcohol and prescription medication. So I don't think either of them were making their best decisions at that point. Hopefully, in the light of day, in a sober state, someone would have made a better choice. But you're right. In this impaired state, they start wandering through the water hip high, trying to find a snake. obviously, that is ridiculous. What would you do? Not that. I would wait till daylight, and I don't know. I would let the snake guy be in charge of the snake, and I'd hang back and maybe have a fruit plate on the boat.
Yeah, let me just be clear as far as an overall, what would you do? If I'm on the Amazon, the smallest vessel I'm getting on is a cruise ship. I'm not getting on anything smaller than that. There are just places in this world that humans aren't supposed to be. A lot of Australia and right around the Amazon those are the two places.
Yeah, if something happens, you have no protection against nature. As soon as your body hits the water or the land, in many places, it is not a safe place for you to just be free and moving about without the security of a lot of metal around you.
And they didn't even discuss piranhas.
Yeah. Yeah. So Snake Wrangler gets eaten, and now they have no snake. They have no Snake Wrangler, and they're not sure what to do. But we forgot an important part. The captain of the ship is actually someone who is on the run and gets on the boat under false pretenses and is supposedly guiding them on this journey because supposedly they hired her dad, but no, she's someone who's on the run and needs to get away from shore, and she just jumps on this boat and says, yeah, I'll take you.
Yeah. And it turns out that she serves a bit of a badass role at one point when they're trying to get away from guys on bikes because she's shooting out the back of the window, and Doug all of a sudden decides, oh, maybe she should be in the movie.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out initially whether to throw in the towel for the movie because at this point they have no snake, and Anna, the fugitive captain, is going to take them back to the airport, but they end up on land and chaos ensues again, and Anna saves the day. We think Anna is probably a good guy, but we learn later in the film she's actually a bad guy.
Yeah.
So
we got the twist.
Yeah. So what would you do if you were in the middle of the Amazon with three of your childhood besties filming a film called Anaconda and you had no anaconda? What would you do?
I mean, they're kind of all in at that point. I think the question becomes how much footage did you actually get with the snake? And was it possibly enough that you can
No.
deal
We're
with
going to
it?
say no.
Okay.
I mean, do you at that point just be like, okay, well, I guess we're going back to the States, or do you go back to the mainland and try and find another snake? What do you do? Especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere right now and don't have a lot of resources until you get back to land.
I probably get to land and look for another snake, honestly. I mean, because these guys were definitely all in on this idea. They were all in. And I'm not saying the snake's a small part of this, but if that's the only thing that's keeping me from shooting my movie, I'm going to go find a snake, because otherwise I've spent all of this time and money for nothing.
So it turns out Anna, who is the captain under false pretenses, actually is a bad guy and has bags of gold that are hidden out in the jungle. And ultimately she turns on all of the filmmakers and says, come here, I need you to drag this, and is holding them under gunpoint to move a bunch of gold nuggets for her.
Yeah, and the person who we thought was the bad guy, turns out that he's actually the good guy.
Yeah, he's law enforcement. He has actually been chasing them because she's a bad guy. She's not on the run for her own safety. She's on the run because she's a bad guy.
But Griff was separated from them, so Griff didn't see the fact that she had heel turned.
Yeah, he just saw the law enforcement guy with a gun, assuming he was the bad guy, and shot him. And I guess for the third time, chaos ensues. So what would you do?
We can say that a lot about this movie. Chaos ensues.
Yeah. So what would you do if you were any of our filmmakers who were then being held under gunpoint and being told, hey, move these big bags, and Doug asks what's in them, and he finds out they're nuggets of gold, and there's probably, maybe 8-9 bags of gold. What would you do if you were being held at gunpoint under that situation?
It always makes me ask the question, do I think that one of their goals eventually is going to be to kill me? do I think that that's going to be what happens after I help them? Or are they going to say, screw it, you've done your job, you can go, we don't care? Because if it's in the U.S., they probably more likely to kill you. You're within the laws of the country, etc. But if you're down there in the Amazon, and if you're her, you might just be like, you know what, I got gold. But if you think they're not going to kill you, then just do what they say.
Well, it buys you time. It buys you time to think. Now, granted, do you want to help someone achieve their evil plan? Probably not. Do you want to be lugging heavy things through the heat of the Amazon? Probably not. But does it give you time to think or take advantage of an opportunity that might present itself to get yourself to safety and change the situation?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. You always buy yourself time.
And sometimes, yeah, you're just looking for an opening. And, well, Claire found that opening pretty quickly. Because that's the thing. You could turn on them real fast. If you know you're going to turn and you have it in your mind what you're going to do, it's difficult for somebody to react in real time to that.
Well, Claire is one of the filmmakers, and her opening is honestly just some quick thinking of, I have some kids, they're 10 and 13, I'm a mom, do you want to do this to them? And just enough to get Anna distracted, and Anna ultimately gets eaten by an anaconda. Dun, dun, dun. Do you see a theme here?
The anaconda.
Yeah. So that's just a matter of quick thinking on Claire's part to do something that, again, stalls, gives her time, and then also makes Anna think a little bit. So okay, you want to know what would you do? At that point, they run because the anaconda broke through the pier and took Anna. Nobody took a bag of gold. What would you do? I'd at least put handfuls in my pockets and take some freaking gold.
Yeah, that does feel like it would have been a smart thing to do there.
I mean, granted, it's stolen gold, and granted, it probably should go back to someone else, but you know what? I've been through a lot. I'm hot. I'm cranky. I'm probably hungry. I want a couple nuggets of gold.
Yeah, give me some gold. Give me a little bit at least. We don't need all of it. Just give me some. Maybe get my expenses back. And gold's expensive. One of those nuggets alone is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, each of those nuggets could have easily been in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, and I'll call in and tell somebody where they can find their gold. But if there's a couple pieces missing, they might have just fallen out.
Yeah, let's just get our movie financed.
So ultimately, we find out that Griff is a big fat liar, and he never actually had the rights to do Anaconda, and he has lured all of his friends out to the Amazon under false pretenses because he just kind of wanted to hang out with the gang again, but everything they're doing is not something they can actually do.
But see, okay, so this is where I'm going to put the RL in IRL, and I know a little bit about IP law, and yes, you cannot make a movie called Anaconda if all of your characters are named exactly the same way and
named the same way as the original.
See, and that's the thing here. It would be incredibly easy to just adapt that film because the people who own Anaconda do not own the rights to a giant snake in the Amazon hunting you down.
Yeah, nor does, Jurassic Park prevent anyone else from having dinosaurs out in the wild.
Yeah, you can't use their characters, you can't use their intellectual property, but it's incredibly easy to shift that. So that's the thing, they still have a movie, they just can't call it Anaconda.
But let's look at what would you do here?
Funny enough, they could have called it Anna-Conda because of Anna. That actually would have been fine. Because
but she's a bad guy now.
Well, I know, but it's a legitimate play.
Sure.
And it's not the actual IP.
So let's get back to some what would you do here. What would you do if you found out at this point you had been fighting for your life, you had been on the run, you might have been eaten or attacked at some point because someone was eaten and spit back out, and you've gone through all of this, you've seen all of this chaos and mayhem with your crew and other people, you've been shot at, and you realize that, hey, your bud, Griff, drug you out here under false pretenses. What would you do? How would you feel?
See, and well, that's the thing. I wouldn't be that mad because I would know that we could just take a small shift left or right and we still have a movie.
Okay, but you were still lied to. You don't care?
I mean, I don't love the fact that I was lied to, but it wasn't so much about redoing Anaconda as much as it was about them all getting together and doing a movie. And Anaconda was the excuse to make that happen. So I'm probably be like, WTF, man. But in the end, we're here to make a movie. Let's make a movie.
Yeah.
So.
And in the end, they do make a movie. They cannot release it. They are basically have their hands tied by Sony, who owns the original Anaconda. And
they actually see a crew for the actual reboot of Anaconda going by. That's how we know that.
Right,
that
while they're still at the Amazon.
So they're actually filming.
Well, yeah.
And then later, you come upon them, and they are in ruins.
Ruins by, you mean dead?
Well, no, they actually didn't say they were dead. They scattered. They ran. But the Anaconda destroyed most everything around there.
He did?
So.
He's a big boy.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a big boy. Anacondas are huge. They ain't that big.
Yeah.
That's a
that
mutant.
was monster size, kind of hanging out with King Kong and
that's
other big.
That's an anaconda crossbred with a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah, or skyscraper. Yeah. Huge. So what would you do if you were Griff, and the fact that you were on this film, and we're kind of hopping around in the timeline here, but you were on this film, and ultimately, because you killed the original Snake, the director, Doug, is now going in this other direction, which you mentioned with Anna, and you're no longer really a part of the film when you're the one who drug everybody out to the Amazon to begin with. How would you feel about being removed from your own little pet project?
So I actually learned something about this. Back in 2012, I was part of the crew that filmed the pilot for the Comedy Central series Another Period. And it was a bit part. I got to undress, Jason Ritter. Yeah, I got to undress Jason Ritter, me and a few other people. Don't ask. But there was a point where they were pulling some of us in, and actually like most of us, but for some reason they had left me out. And there were some of the other crew and even some of the actors were like, hang on, why isn't he in there? I mean, we're not getting paid or anything. We're there all day and dressed up in these freaking things. And I was like, you know what? It's fine. It's fine. I'm here for whatever they need. That was a huge mistake. I learned in retrospect, because if you're not willing to fight for yourself, no one else is going to fight for you in this industry, for sure. So it was on him to fight for himself, get back into it. And if he's just like, you can't just be like, oh, he's filming with someone else, I guess I'm done. You've got to fight.
You're right.
To film Anaconda.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.